산업 생산 공정의 특징으로는 다양한 복합 소재 및 복합 패널 생산을 위해 롤투롤 설비를 직접 개발하여 제품 생산을 하고 있다는 점입니다. 뛰어난 기술력의 제품을 다량으로 공급하는 데 최적합하게 구성된 공장 생산 설비는 갈수록 대형화하는 건축물들의 빠른 납비 대응은 물론 균일한 품질의 제품 생산에 이바지함으로써 고객 만족으로 이어지고 있습니다.
Hong Industry has built the MES solution for the smart factory to digitalize the entire manufacturing process. By improving the overall production environment, the satisfaction level of workers has increased and the production efficiency has been improved as well.
저희 홍성산업은 삼성전자의 스마트 공장 지원 사업으로 MES 시스템 구축을 통한 관리 프로세스 확보, 재고 관리의 정확도 향상 및 디지털 전환을 통한 효율성을 증가시킬 수 있었습니다. 뿐만 아니라 삼성전자 각 분야의 전문 임용 방문, 기술 교류 및 지원을 통해 자사의 오랜 수건 사업에 대해 외부의 새로운 시각을 반영함으로써 기술 한계 극복, 제조 품질 향상, 공정 로스 개선 등의 점차적인 발전으로 이어져 오고 있습니다.
The company aims to provide high-quality items with increased safety based on the accumulated experience and technologies. It has made continuous effort to develop new materials for the construction sector and strengthen the competitive power by reducing the production cost.
컴파짓 소재 기술 및 접착, 재진, 진동, 방음 등의 코어 기술을 가진 저희 홍성산업은 이러한 기술 기반을 바탕으로 5년에 1개씩의 신제품 또는 신시장 개척을 목표로 하고 있습니다. 최근 개발된 재진 강판은 전기 자동차의 진동 방지 부품으로 인정되어 납품이 이루어지고 있으며 차세대 에너지 분야에서 핵심 원소재 관련 제품을 개발하고 있습니다.
The firm has achieved constant growth in the domestic construction market for the past 5 decades. And it is planning to cultivate new overseas markets and expand its sales network. The company has been successfully prepared to enter the North American market, and it is about to take first steps.
저희 홍성산업은 대한민국 최초의 알루미늄 복합 패널 개발, 제조사라는 명성에 걸맞게 한국 점유율 및 업계 수출 실적 1위를 달성하고 유지하고자 합니다. 이를 위해 저희 홍성산업은 앞으로 연구개발은 물론 다양한 마케팅 활동으로 글로벌 브랜드로 도약할 수 있도록 최선을 다할 것입니다.
Hong Industry has emerged in the special construction materials market by developing cutting-edge facilities and accumulating advanced skills. And it is expected to carve out new spaces in the global field in the near future.
Right now, the new shopping game is starting.
gonna stop searching.
Suncheon has been known for its traditional full-course meals made with its abundant local ingredients. The kitchen is filled with the traces of 6 decades of cooking.
여러 개 끓이고 우리 한국에서 우리 집 끓이는
해년마다 매년 연례 행사.
This eatery has preserved old culinary traditions since its opening many decades ago. What's the secret behind the traditional full-course meals that captivated the palates of many?
우리도 막 울면서 배웠어. 완전
Although it has lost its former glory, Changcheongdong used to be the center of Suncheon back in the 1960s. It was home to the city hall and a bus terminal, and was even called the Myeongdong of Suncheon. But since the opening of a high-speed train station and the relocation of the business district to the new town area, this neighborhood has lost much of its luster. It is still home to an eatery in a quiet back alley that has shared the many joys and sorrows of Changcheongdong. It's an old house with a tiled roof and wooden floor. Its faded charm makes it look more like a grandmother's abode rather than an eatery. Is it cleanup day today?
문지방 잘 닦고 있지?
청소가 아침 9시부터 11시 반까지, 11시까지 해요. 여기 하고 나면 물 청소하고.
Being nearly 100 years old, this house needs to be cleaned every morning to look squeaky clean.
집이 이게 노후되고 오래돼서 유지가 안 돼. 청소가 안 되면 유지가 안 됩니다. 유지가. 살아날 수가 없어요.
님 드세요, 안 드세요?
네? 들어오세요.
An old house like this needs a lot of repairs.
사장님, 이 작년에 안 했는가요? 설에. 애들이 이렇게 구멍을 내요. 예, 이렇게 됐어요.
또 구멍 내야 또좀 뭐요 또.
사모님 먹고 살지. 맞아.
Preserving old traditions in an aged house can be quite challenging. But the house residents don't mind working hard to keep it in good shape. Its doors have not been changed even once since it was built. The bars on the doors need to be handled with extra care to prevent any damages.
옛날 분들은 실로 하셨나 보다.
네, 명주실이 좋습니다.
명주실.
그래는 뭐 하랬어요. 저를 그래 놔두면 살이 없으면 문이 배려보잖아요.
How can a 100-year-old house still retain all the inconveniences after so many years? This eatery has a priceless value befitting its long history. When its owners acquired this place from her friend, the latter asked her to preserve it in its original form.
식당으로 하는 지는 이제 60년째 접어들죠. 친한 언니의 엄마가 처음에 식당을 시작하셨어요. 이제 엄마가 하시다가 또 언니가 이어받아서 하시다가 또 이제 언니가 조금 쉬시고 싶다 그래서 얘 이제 그럼 나가 하면 어쩔까 이런 생각 때문에 또 음식을 하는 걸 좋아하니까 그래서 제가 이걸 이어받게 됐죠.
With the house, she also inherited people who were working here at the time. Thanks to the kitchen staff who have worked here for more than 20 years, this place can still serve traditional full-course meals consisting of 26 dishes.
뭐 하시는 거 쌀을 이렇게 안 치시고요?
이제 손님 밥을 해야지.
저기 밥솥이에요?
여기에다가 하면은 20분 정도의 밥이 되면서 맛있어 고실고실하니 향도 좀 살아있고 요 기계에다 한 것보다
조금 넣었어요?
요거 이제 또 요걸로 딱 엎어 지대로요. 뭐 소금도 별로 없어. 옛날 사람이라 지금 신대서 사람 쌀하고 사정을 해도 안 써.
그 저기 밥이 된다는 게 참 와.
이따 봐보세요. 얼마나 좋게.
그래요?
This woman has had 20 years of experience in cooking rice. She can single-handedly cook many servings of rice in a pot.
이거랑 이렇게 잘 되겠죠. 밥을 해야지.
밥 진짜 잘 됐다.
말할 것도 없다니까. 밥이 느실느실하니 그냥.
It didn't overflow, nor did it stick to the bottom. How does rice cooked by a veteran cook taste?
이렇게 얇은 양판에다 하면 밥이 타거든. 한 100% 타면 거의 쌀내가 나고. 근데 워낙 했으니까 이제 이 쌀 숨쉴 소리까지 알아보죠.
How did they manage to find perfectly matching lids for the old pots? The braised mackerel to be served today is also boiling well without overflowing. It's even hard to assume how old these kitchen tools are.
이게 손잡이가 특이하네요.
상다리 내쁜 걸로. 상다리. 버리는 거 우리는 제야 알아.
상다리도 오래된 것 같다.
이런 거 쓰지 우리 한국에서 우리 집 뺏기는.
Even old things are not thrown away indiscreetly at this old shop. These people make the best of the old items because they deserve to stay in use for a long time.
연탄재 날리지 말라고 소뚜껑.
소뚜껑?
예, 무거운 걸로 이렇게 눌러놔야지 날리지도 않고.
근데 소뚜껑이 몇 년?
이게 한 60년, 70년 된 걸 거예요, 이게 지금.
우와.
예.
이런 주방 기구나 이런 것들을 바꾸실 만도 한데 안 바꾸신 이유가 있을까요?
또 나이가 드셔서 이게 새로운 걸 갖다 주면 이거 방식을 몰라요. 그래서 헤매고 자기들이 옛날에 했던 것이 그 방식이 자기들한테 손해가 있고 그리고 또 음식 하는데 뭐 지장이 없으니까. 예.
This fish is essential in Jeolla-do province cuisine.
뭐 하시게요?
홍어 작업하는 거예요.
홍어요?
예, 우리가 쓰는 거죠.
Skates can be only trimmed and cut by a veteran worker with 22 years of experience.
어느 부위가 맛있고 이제 그런 거는 좀 알죠.
어느 부위가 맛있어요?
코. 예, 코 부위 이제 맛있고 그다음에 날개 부위.
아, 날개?
예, 날개 부위가.
날개가 왜 맛있대요?
날개는 사실은 얼마 안 나옵니다. 이게 해체해 놓으면은.
The skate is dismembered into parts that are to be either discarded, steamed, or eaten raw. The price of the skate differs significantly depending on whether it is imported from overseas or caught domestically.
홍어 이거 비싸지 않아요?
비싸요. 몇십만 원씩은.
근데 국내산을 이렇게 쓰시구나. 맛이 달라요?
그렇지요. 완전 부드럽죠. 칠레산은 원점 질겨요.
One of the secrets behind the popularity of this old eatery is that it only uses domestic ingredients. In winter, when the skate tastes the best, it is eaten raw or steamed. Skate liver soup is regarded as a special delicacy.
요거 홍어예요, 홍어.
홍어에.
네, 홍어. 자, 우리 집만 팔아. 우리는 이제 우리가 홍어를 많이 소비를 때 애가 충분하니까.
There are 3 pieces of liver in a skate. It's a rare delicacy because the liver comes in small amounts. Cooking it well is not easy because its taste is determined by how long it is fermented.
20년을 넘게 살아도 한 7, 8년 전에까지 주인한테 소리 들었어. 이거 잘 못 온다고. 맛없이 끓인다고. 예, 근데 인자 노하우를 인자 가져서 인자는 이제 제대로 끓이내지. 다 먹으면 맛있다니까.
The taste of food served at this old eatery is the result of decades of quiet and steady work. This is a hearty meal prepared by seasoned cooks.
저 한번 살짝 담궈야 돼요. 너무 이제 말라 있는 상태니까.
이거 뭐예요?
순천에서만 나오는 대갱이라고요.
대갱이?
예.
요거 이렇게 반찬을 하면 최고 인기요. 남자들한테도 좋고 암에도 좋고 요거 반찬이.
남자들한테 왜 좋아요?
몰라. 하여튼 저런 데 좋은 것 같아.
This unusual fish is called eel goby. The hard, dry eel goby is pounded with a hammer to be softened.
여기 와서 이걸 갖다가 처음 배우신 거예요, 이거?
그러죠. 나 이거 있는지도 몰랐네. 여기 와서 알았어요.
Known as a treasure of the Suncheonman Bay, the eel goby is a rare delicacy. It takes a lot of effort to cook it. The eel goby is mostly consumed locally because it is caught in small amounts. But at this eatery, it is served at all times, no matter what.
채소, 생선 이런 게 다 뭐 고흥, 녹동, 여수 이쪽이 다 이렇게 동네가 있어요. 동네가 가까우니까 예, 신선한 재료를 쓸 수가 있죠. 아무래도. 예.
Everything is ready for welcoming the first customers.
메인 세 분, 수행 두 분이.
When an order is received, the table is laid with 26 neat and appetizing dishes.
그럼 아무렇게 놓은 게 아니에요. 되게 이쁘잖아. 옛날 어른들, 우리 앞전에 있던 선배들도 이렇게 놔요.
그대로 이어갖고.
예.
This eatery uses only charcoal fire for roasting. The food is fried right before it is served to be kept warm. The meal becomes ready in no time thanks to labor division between the cooking and serving teams. This is probably when people say the table's legs may break because there is so much food on it. A meal made with wild herbs growing on nearby mountains, crops grown in fields, seafood from the clean ocean, and beef from healthily raised cows. They're all local ingredients from nature.
어제 밤에도 안 먹었었어야 돼. 어제 저녁에 한 3일 굶었어야 했어. 이거 잘 해야 부드럽거든.
This woman has been a regular patron of 30 years.
표정 보니까 너무 맛있는다. 토마가 아주 기분 좋게 턱 쏘는 맛이 진짜 맛있어요.
The thick skate liver soup tastes the best when mixed with white rice.
한 30년 정도 됐어요. 예전에 그 고향의 맛과 그리고 우리가 예전 추억을 먹는 것 같은 느낌 때문에 실은 여기를 오게 돼요.
This old eatery is a venue for bonding. It brings people closer to one another.
사장님 너무 잘 먹었습니다. 오래오래 하세요.
맞습니다.
네.
감사합니다. 좋죠. 기분이 너무 좋죠. 알아주신 분들이 계신다는 것 자체가 이게 보람이죠, 뭐.
At mealtime, all the workers get together, from newcomers who started working here less than a year ago to veterans with 22 years of experience. Although it's hard, they persevere by taking pride in preserving the full-course meal tradition, which is gradually disappearing, and the family-like atmosphere of the place.
천문양 오면은 저녁에 갈 때는 아이고 내일 안 와 이제 여기가 그러고 가고 온 것이 한 달이 돼갖고
자고 나면 다 또 그 마음이 오고 또 와서
우리도 막 울면서 배웠어. 완전히 왔을 때.
너 청소부터 힘들어요. 아침에 오자마자.
그럼 딴 데로 옮기시려고요?
아니 이제 여기서 왜 딴 데로 여기서
갖고
죽으나 살아 여기 있다가
This old eatery presents a heart-rending story of these people's lives.
Time to set the facts straight. Get Korea right.
다음 중 한국의 전통 의상은 무엇일까요? 그렇다면 한국의 전통 의상 이름은 무엇일까요?
정답은 한복입니다. 안녕하세요. 방크 청년연구원 이정우입니다. 한국 드라마와 한국 영화가 한류 팬들에게 사랑받으면서 한국 전통 의상인 한복도 주목받고 있는데요. 한국 문화 콘텐츠가 지구촌 곳곳에서 인기를 누리면서 한국과 관련된 잘못된 정보도 확산되고 있습니다.
그중에는 한복에 관한 오류 정보도 있더라고요.
제가 여러분께 한복에 대해 제대로 알려드릴게요. 곡선과 직선이 조화롭게 이루어진 한복은 단아함과 우아함이 살아있는 한국 전통 의상입니다. 또한 1600년간 이어진 고유 한복은 세계에서 제일 길며 그것은 고구려 고분 벽화와 신라 백제 유물로도 확인이 됩니다. 한국인의 정체성과 역사가 담긴 한국의 소중한 문화유산이라 할 수 있죠. 한국 바로 알리기 여러분도 함께 해주세요.
held its first debate over the weekend.
The economy is expected to expand 2.5% this year.
Boosting Korea's ties with its global partners on the sidelines of the Status UN summit.
A massive drone attack on Ukraine overnight on Monday and Tuesday.
Arirang.
Hello and welcome to our morning edition of Arirang News. We begin with these stories making the headlines at this hour. President Lee Jae-myung is set to hold a press conference on Wednesday for the first time since relocating to the Blue House, where he will outline policy priorities for the year ahead. US President Donald Trump gave a press briefing marking a year since his return to the White House, touting his administration's achievements and addressing a range of issues, including Greenland. Former Prime Minister Han Duck-soo is set to receive a first-instance verdict on charges of aiding and abetting an insurrection, a ruling that will also mark the judiciary's first determination of whether the December 3rd emergency martial law declaration constitutes an act of insurrection. President Lee Jae-myung will hold his New Year's press conference at the Blue House today. Senior Presidential Secretary for Public Relations and Communications Lee Kyu-yeon told reporters on Friday that around 160 domestic and international journalists will attend the 90-minute event at the Yeongbin-gwan Reception Hall. The Q&A session will be divided into three categories: the economy, diplomacy and national security, and society and culture. President Lee will also share his policy priorities for the year. U.S. President Donald Trump says massive investment funds secured from South Korea and Japan will be channeled into an Alaska natural gas project, underscoring his America First economic agenda. The announcement, made on the first anniversary of his second-term inauguration, also reignited debate over tariffs and the role of foreign investment in U.S. energy development. Lee Seung-jae has more.
U.S. President Donald Trump marked the first anniversary of his second-term inauguration on Tuesday with the White House news conference, highlighting his economic record and renewed America First push. Trump announced that large investment funds secured through trade deals with South Korea and Japan will be directed to an Alaska natural gas development project, calling the agreements unprecedented. He said the Alaska pipeline will export natural gas to Asian markets. Under the deal, South Korea agreed to invest $350 billion in the U.S. in exchange for lowering reciprocal tariffs from 25% to 15%. Of that amount, $150 billion will go to shipbuilding, while $200 billion will be allocated to energy, semiconductors, and artificial intelligence tied to national security. Japan pledged a separate $550 billion in investment. The Alaska LNG project, a key Trump initiative, involves a 1,300-kilometer pipeline from Alaska's North Slope, with initial costs estimated at $45 billion. During the news conference, Trump also touted his first-year accomplishments, dramatically tossing a stack of papers he said documented his record onto the floor before turning to inflation and criticizing the Biden administration's economic policies.
But here's the book. These are all things we have. I'm going to read a few of the samples, but look at this. These are all, each line is something that we did. Nobody did that before. And it's big stuff, too. Look, we have the hottest country in the world.
Trump also addressed ongoing legal uncertainty over his global tariffs, saying he does not know how the Supreme Court will rule, and acknowledged that the U.S. could be forced to repay hundreds of billions of dollars if it loses. He nonetheless defended the tariffs as essential for national security and federal revenue, insisting they have not fueled inflation.
I don't know what the Supreme Court's going to do. If we lose that case, it's possible we're going to have to do the best we can in paying it back. I don't know how that's going to be done very easily without hurting a lot of people. But we're waiting for that case anxiously.
The comments come as the Supreme Court has yet to rule on the tariff case, despite expectations that a decision could come as early as this week. In August, a federal appeals court ruled that Trump's use of the 1977 International Emergency Economic Powers Act exceeded presidential authority, affirming a lower court's decision issued last May. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Leading on from that, it's been 1 year since Donald Trump returned to the White House, where he has reshaped U.S. trade, security, and diplomatic priorities. To assess what that first year has meant for South Korea, we're joined by Matthew David Jenkins, Associate Professor from the Department of Political Science at Gyeongsang National University. Professor Jenkins, thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So Trump's tariff policies have been at the forefront in terms of key issues for South Korea, and there are still some uncertainties surrounding key export sectors such as memory chips. So what do you make of the trade deal between Washington and Seoul thus far, and how do you see it progressing?
Yeah, so I think, first of all, it's a pretty good, significant achievement in terms of the initial reduction in tariffs, right? Going from 25 to 15, so I think that's a remarkable achievement. However, a major sticking point remains the memory chips and whether that tariff rate will continue to apply to those as well. So that's obviously very important for South Korea to have, to be able to export memory chips. It's a major part of its economy. And it's also a major part of the U.S.'s economy as well, because the chips go into the U.S. consumer products, right? AI and things like this. And so the issue now is the Trump administration is threatening a 100% tariff on those chips, which is very high and would be damaging both to the U.S. and to South Korea. Why would it be doing that? Well, Trump's tariffs are designed to be used as leverage to get something else. So what does the U.S. want? Probably they want more investment in manufacturing, chip manufacturing in the United States. Could be that, or it could be that they want South Korea to further, decouple from China, to further limit chip exports to China, or chip manufacturing in China. I think both of those things are pretty unrealistic, right? South Korean companies are already very committed. They've already committed to companies like Samsung and SK Hynix have committed billions of dollars of investment in the United States. It would be very problematic to try to reduce production in China. And so I imagine that, maybe there'll be some minor concessions, but I imagine that this deal will move through without any major changes.
And building on the discussion around trade, so Seoul continues to navigate the intensifying rivalry between the U.S. and China. And how do you think South Korea has been effectively managing to balance the tensions between them? And how do you see this dynamic unfolding going forward?
I think Korea's doing a great job. It's in a very tricky situation, between a rock and a hard place, right? On the one hand, it has to keep the U.S. happy in terms of its military alliance, right, and strategic positions around the peninsula, and at the same time, it has to signal to China that, hey, we're not trying to contain you. We're here for business, right? And the thing with the U.S. is mostly because of North Korea. Like, that's the reason why we have this major alliance. And so it's been doing a really good job. I think President Yi has been doing a great job at sort of balancing those. We saw that as evidence. We saw in the recent visit to China, right? They were able to make some progress on the K-pop, right? The Hallyu ban, right? To allow more Korean pop groups to have more freedom in performing in China and things like this. So I see some progress there. At the same time, he's mostly been keeping the Trump administration happy in terms of being willing to be flexible with its alliance, in terms of pivoting towards the broader Indo-Pacific region. And I feel like that he's going to continue to maintain that pragmatic, practical balancing act as we go forward. It's going to become more difficult as the chip situation becomes more, integrated with military, right? As military has become more fueled by AI and fueled by technology and drones, it's going to become trickier to do that. But for the meantime, I think he's going to be doing a pretty good job.
Right, so other than trade, South Korea and the U.S. have also made a pact to build nuclear-powered submarines together. And what do you think this joint project signifies for South Korea?
Yeah, so on the one hand, it's really significant, right? It means that, the U.S. does not share that technology, like nuclear submarine technology, with everybody. It's only shared it with, historically, United Kingdom and Australia. And so it's kind of signaling that South Korea is sort of moving towards the inner circle of the U.S. alliance commitments, right? How much that means in the current administration is unclear, given how he's treating his European partners. But for the meantime, I think we can look at this as like a signal that Korea's importance is certainly elevated. It gives it more autonomy to move not just around the peninsula, but through to be a broader maritime power, right, in the region. Obviously, it gives it a strategic advantage over North Korea. So there are a number of positive effects, but certainly this looks like an elevation of its status within the U.S. alliance network.
Right, and Trump has also made several offers for talks with North Korea during his tenure, as Pyongyang demands to be acknowledged as a nuclear power. And how do you see the Trump administration navigating through this?
Yeah, so I think Trump has been pretty clear about this, and he's has dropped the talks of denuclearization. He has already de facto recognized North Korea as a nuclear power, without explicitly saying, "Oh, it's sanctioned by international law" or something like this. So I think for him, meeting with Kim Jong-un would not mean, doesn't equal recognition as a nuclear power in his, right? Everything is just pragmatic, and he's not really concerned about formal statuses or the language that people use. And so that's pretty much been his policy so far. In terms of pursuing further talks, I think at this point, I don't really see a lot of advantages. I don't see a lot to gain from meeting with North Korea unless they're willing to actually make us, substantive changes, which seems pretty unlikely. So it's unclear what he would actually get if denuclearization is not the point and they're not actively at war, right, or at the risk of war. It's unclear what he would have to gain from that, unless they're going to offer something big, right? And that doesn't seem like that's going to happen right now.
Okay, thank you for your insight today, Professor. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Former Prime Minister Han Duck-soo is set to hear the verdict in his trial over his role in the December 3rd martial law declaration. The ruling will set the tone for former President Yoon as the court decides on whether the martial law declaration by former President Yoon Suk-yeol was an act of insurrection. Our Kim Do-yeon has more.
CCTV footage from December 3rd, 2024 captures the historic moment when then President Yoon Suk-yeol leaves a room with his cabinet to declare martial law. His cabinet is seen sitting motionless, failing to intervene. The evidence emerged during the trial of former Prime Minister Han Duck-soo, with the court delivering its verdict on Wednesday afternoon. The ruling will set a critical precedent, marking the first time a court will decide if a martial law declaration itself constitutes an act of criminal insurrection. Han faces charges of perjury and abetting the ringleader, with prosecutors arguing the move was an attempt to seize power through a self-coup.
The December 3rd martial law declaration is believed to have stemmed from the idea that it would succeed, much like a typical self-coup.
Prosecutors have requested a 15-year prison sentence, arguing Han abandoned his duty as the only official capable of stopping the situation. Han denies the allegations. He admits failing to prevent the declaration, but testified he never agreed with or aided the attempt.
Although I failed to stop the martial law declaration, I never agreed to it or attempted to help. That is the most honest, final confession I can offer in this historic courtroom today.
The ruling will inevitably impact the ruling of former President Yoon, set for February 19th, and 4 other cabinet members. Yoon faces charges of leading an insurrection, for which prosecutors have demanded the death penalty, which is the statutory maximum. If the court accepts the insurrection charge in Han's verdict, it signals a grim outlook for the former president. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
South Korea is moving to ease its doctor shortage with an additional national medical licensing exam this year. The measure allows fourth-year medical students who returned to school last summer after policy disputes to qualify for licensure by August. About 1,800 students graduating that month are expected to receive licenses and enter hospitals immediately. The Health Ministry says the rare supplementary exam will be held in spring and summer, with clinical skills tests running from March to April and a written exam scheduled for July. Normally, the medical licensing exam is held once a year in the fall and winter. In central Seoul's Yongsan-gu district lies the War Memorial of Korea, which recently witnessed its number of foreign visitors triple in just 3 years. Our Kim Bo-kyung has this report.
From 170,000 in 2022 to more than 520,000 in 2025. That is more than a threefold increase in the number of foreign visitors to the War Memorial of Korea. Worldwide interest in South Korea's culture has spilled over into K-history, and many foreign officials' visits to the War Museum pushed the increase in numbers.
Last year, about 1,500 VIPs from 105 countries visited the memorial and found it very helpful in learning about Korea. Participant nations in the Korean War also said the exhibition was deeply moving in its powerful presentation of their history.
General Xavier Brunson, the commander of U.S. Forces Korea, recently visited as well, hinting at the possibility of including visits to the War Memorial of Korea in educational programs for U.S. service members stationed here.
It would foster pride and a sense of duty, reaffirm the Korea-U.S. Blood Alliance, and greatly strengthen the morale and mission awareness of the U.S. Forces Korea.
As if to show the boosted interest in Korean history, there were many foreign visitors even in the freezing cold.
So I've been recommended by some colleagues at work to come here. I think it's particularly important to learn about the history of the country.
Many foreign visitors' main interest lies in the Korean War, during which General MacArthur's Incheon landing successfully ended the North's occupation of the South and led to the current division of the Korean Peninsula with DMZ in the middle. Another exhibition room that draws attention is the section explaining how UN member states dispatched troops and medical units to support the Republic of Korea.
Through detailed accounts of the roles played by troops and medical teams from 22 UN member countries, visitors can learn about their own nation's contributions. This helps them feel a deeper connection to Seoul and a shared sense of history.
As global interest in Korea continues to grow, the War Memorial of Korea is emerging as a key destination, serving as a powerful gateway to understanding the country's past. 김보경, Arirang News.
Good morning, I'm Chu Ji-hyun, and this is The World Now. U.S. President Donald Trump said the United States will very shortly begin targeting drugs entering the country by land, expanding his administration's anti-narcotics campaign. Trump told reporters on Tuesday that the move follows U.S. military strikes on suspected drug boats in the Caribbean Sea and Pacific Ocean, which he said has sharply reduced drug trafficking by water. He said land routes are now the focus, but did not name any country involved in the trafficking. Trump's remarks come as U.S. military forces seized a 7th oil tanker linked to Venezuela on Tuesday. The U.S. Justice Department has served 6 grand jury subpoenas to Minnesota state and local officials as part of an investigation into alleged obstruction of federal immigration enforcement. Those subpoenaed on Tuesday include Democratic Governor Tim Walz, the Attorney General, and the mayor of Minneapolis and St. Paul. Sources told the Associated Press the probe centers on public statements and possible violations of a federal conspiracy statute related to obstruction of immigration authorities. Minnesota officials called the investigation politically motivated, while federal attorneys said the state is improperly seeking to limit federal law enforcement powers. The subpoenas come amid weeks of unrest following an immigration crackdown. Iranian authorities have reportedly shut down 40,000 Starlink satellite internet terminals, tightening information controls following weeks of anti-government protests. That's according to German news outlet DPA, citing Iranian state media. Officials have not clarified whether the devices were physically seized or remotely deactivated. But the move comes despite earlier promises to gradually restore internet access. Iran is now reportedly pushing to permanently restrict global internet access to a small group of government-approved users, while the broader population remains confined to a state-controlled domestic network. Netflix has revised its takeover bid for Warner Bros. Discovery, offering an all-cash bid of $72 billion to secure shareholder approval and fend off a rival bid from Paramount. The revised deal released on Tuesday keeps the price at $27.75 per share, removes stock components, and aims to speed up a shareholder vote, expected as early as April. Warner's board again backed Netflix's offer, while Paramount looks to legal action and a potential proxy fight. Analysts say whichever deal prevails will face intense antitrust scrutiny and a prolonged regulatory review.
Yesterday's bitter winds were already harsh, but it's even colder today. Seoul saw the coldest morning of the season at -13 degrees Celsius, and of course that freezing air is adding more chill to the air. Along with the cold, heavy snow is falling across the west coast of the Jeolla-do provinces and Jeju Island. Through tomorrow, Ulleungdo and Dokdo could see up to 30 centimeters of snowfall. Mountainous areas of Jeju Island might receive up to 25 centimeters. The west coast of Jeolla-do might get up to 10 centimeters, with a heavy snow advisory issued in those regions. And this afternoon, Seoul will be getting up to -5 degrees Celsius. Daegu, Gwangju make it to 0 degrees this afternoon. And this round of intense cold is forecast to reach its peak tomorrow, while snow will linger along the west coast and Jeju Island. And on this bone-chilling day, stretching a bit before heading out could help keep your body movement smooth, which will lower the risk of slipping or sudden muscle strain. Stay warm and safe.
We'll be back with our special news coverage on President Lee Jae-myung's New Year's press conference in just a few moments. Thanks for watching.
Time to set the facts straight. Get Korea right.
다음 중 한국의 전통 의상은 무엇일까요? 그렇다면 한국의 전통 의상 이름은 무엇일까요?
정답은